Hey guys, Dan Heilman back with another video. Today we're going to be talking about some price action going on. We have some interesting price action. It seems like we are actually finally getting some higher prices for Bitcoin and altcoins, which is interesting. We have Bitcoin dominance dropping a tiny bit after kind of going back up, but we did make a new high in Bitcoin dominance. Some people are saying we're going to 60%, 66%, meaning we could go up a little bit further. But we're going to talk about some altcoins, talk about some interesting things going on. The exchange volume is a little bit low. So usually what that means when the exchange volume is low is that pumps are not fully to be trusted. You can see the volume is kind of low. We had, the stock market open. It was closed for a couple days. Let's just hit the stock market real quick. It's kind of interesting. We're almost seeing some sort of a decoupling here because we actually had a bad day in stocks yet again. I still think we're maybe going to just kind of make a little bit of a triangle type here, but I don't know. We'll see what happens. We have some support down below us, and I don't know that we're going to make a lower low. We might, who knows. We have my Camel Finance indicator picking a cycle low in the end of this month. So maybe we'll see a reversal here. We shall see what happens there. If we look at MSTR, we had a decent day because actually Bitcoin is going up while the stock market is going down. That's interesting. There's a lot of people saying, hey, we got the great decoupling happen. But usually when people start talking about that, Bitcoin turns around and comes back down for a little bit. I don't know if Bitcoin comes down because we do have like a rising wedge here, and rising wedge patterns are usually bearish. However, we had a rising wedge right here as well, and that has not played out yet. You can see that. There's another rising wedge. Usually rising or falling wedges, they play to the start of the wedge. Doesn't always happen, but does happen a lot. Again, in TA, it doesn't always happen. If we get some massive amount of news, that can usually change price action. Again, the exchange volume is a little bit low. So if we do look at, and you have some bearish divergences forming here. So if we look at that as well. So here's our rising wedge pattern. But also, as you can see, we're making higher highs, but we're making lower highs on the RSI, which is classic bearish divergence. So that's kind of interesting. This is the 1 hour. 4 hour. We made a new high, and we have a new high on the RSI. However, we kind of have almost a triple top happening here. And if we're looking at the 4 hour, you can see here's a higher high here with lower RSI again, which is a little bit bearish. We'll see what happens. Even this right here, we have seen, I guess it's about an equal high on the RSI, even though we have a much higher high on the price action. So it'll be kind of interesting. If you look at the daily, we are making, again, this is called a hidden bearish divergence because you're making a lower high if the price were to go back down. Right now, we could just continue to go up for a while. We could get rejected at 90K, 91.8, and come down. I don't know that we're going to make a lower low, but it's always possible. Again, it's the Camel Finance, the CF indicator here is saying that we should have a cycle low about 510. So we'll see what happens. You can see I have next cycle low here pinned on my red line here, and we'll see what happens. I'm not exactly saying that we have to go and make a lower low, and then a pump out of there, but it could happen. We are seeing some altcoins starting to run pretty decently, so we'll kind of see what happens here. I did close some of my leverage, so let me just show you that real quick. I closed some of my, really short-term positions. I did close my Bitcoin position because I am kind of expecting Bitcoin to come back down. You can see I sold on the daily candle yesterday. We'll see what happens. I just sold it at about break even because I just had a feeling that we're going to come down and make a little bit of a, come down a little bit. So I'm thinking that maybe I'll be able to reopen. My Litecoin position that's been down a while is still down. Maybe we'll look at some liquidation levels on Litecoin. My Ethereum trade is down a little bit as well. My Neo trade is still up a decent amount, doing decent, and my Sui trade is up, doing decent, up 30%. So I did close half these positions. So I have some cash on the side right now to open up some new positions. I have a big chunk of cash, and I'm kind of waiting for maybe one other low in the beginning of next month, maybe in a week or two. And then I will open up some longs, hopefully for the final leg up to through the end of the year. So we'll see what happens. Yeah, we'll see what happens. On BTCC, I also have my trades open here. Okay. I have my trades open on BTCC, which it looks like the website's down right now for some reason. There we go. Okay. So if you do want to try out any of these leverage trading sites, I have some links below that give you a nice discount on fees, and there's a bunch of newcomer bonuses, etc. Be careful. Leverage is risky. Use low leverage. You can see I'm using 2x leverage. So use low leverage and use a very small percentage of your portfolio. Otherwise, you can definitely you get some newbie rewards on BTCC. So basically, I use BTCC for all of these stock plays. I'm doing MSTR and some of the Bitcoin mining stocks, and I have a Coinbase trade open. So these are in the profit right now, barely on some of them. Coinbase is down. Coinbase is lagging behind a little bit. So if you want to use those, feel free to use the links in the description. It also helps me out. It's a great way to support the channel if you want to do so. And yeah, let's go look at the fear and greed too. Let's see what we got going on here. Fear and greed. Are we out of fear yet? Hey, we're neutral for the first time in a while. So that's good news. Sentiment is kind of returning as the price, but if we get another dump, you'll see the fear come back into the market for sure. Exchange volume is still low, so usually that means that sometimes these pumps aren't to be trusted here. We also are, we'll see what happens here. We'll see what happens here. Now, some of the altcoins are doing some decent moves here. Ethereum has kind of just been doing not much of anything. Honestly, I don't think Ethereum can get that much lower. We could potentially see it retest this 0.236 down here at 1200, which would be pretty brutal for Ethereum holders. Sui is kind of coming back a little bit, and we have broken out of this channel that we've been respecting for quite some time. Let me make the RSI a little bit bigger. Let's go to just like the daily chart here. Get some longer term trends going. So you can see we have been kind of respecting this, and we have now broken out of it for a little bit. So we'll see what happens there. Litecoin is finally making a little recovery here. We're struggling to get back past this $79 mark. I did pick up a lot more Litecoin. For altcoins right now, for spot, I'm really only picking up Litecoin, and I'm only picking up Bitcoin. Those are kind of the two things I'm buying on spot right now. I have been buying a little bit of Ethereum just because it's so blasted down, and a little bit of Sui. So it's kind of like mostly I'm picking up Litecoin and Bitcoin with a little bit of Ethereum, a little bit of Sui. I'm still bullish, really bullish on ENS. I think this one will come back. It's kind of like a multiplier on Ethereum. So if Ethereum comes back, ENS will come back like crazy. We'll see what happens here. Fartcoin breaking out again. Interesting. Popcat breaking out as well. You can see the indicator picked a daily low, or sorry, a weekly low down here. We're already up 100% from there. So it's kind of interesting. Again, I already talked about Bitcoin dominance, but this might hit up to about 66%, could be, because this is kind of like a major area. If you draw some lines through these candles, you can see that it brings us right around here. And Bitcoin dominance has been just blasting up. 70% move we could potentially see here. So that's been kind of interesting. We'll keep an eye on that. We have been in this channel pretty much exclusively for a very long time. So that's kind of interesting. Again, this is kind of like a rising wedge pattern we are almost forming here. So we'll see how that plays out. You could also draw it something like this potentially as well. So maybe we're getting a little bit close here. Maybe we get another wick, tap that 66 and come down. So we'll see what happens there. Total market is breaking out. So this is the absolute total market. If we look at some of like the altcoin markets, let's see how these are doing. These are kind of breaking out as well. So again, if we draw some trend lines down this line right here, looks like we are potentially breaking out of these as well. So we'll see what happens. Price is king. So we'll see what happens here. Price really tells us everything. So let me go back here. Let's check out ETH Bitcoin. It's interesting. So I kind of had this line here at 0.0175 because if we zoom out, you can see that's kind of this bottom from the last cycle. And we've even had some resistance at this area back in 2016, which is pretty crazy to see here. Yeah, so we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. Yeah, that's pretty much all I have to talk about today. I just wanted to kind of, gold. Gold has been breaking out. Silver's been breaking out. Maybe we'll finally see some price action from platinum. Platinum has been stable for a really long time. Maybe we'll finally get a breakout from platinum. It's funny because I bought some platinum and some gold in like 2020-ish, and it's like the same price it is today, which is kind of interesting. But if you look at gold, I mean, it's just absolutely ripping. I got a couple line drawn on the chart here, and it's just going straight up, which is interesting. Oh, it's got a cycle, a 4-year cycle picked for 2030. Okay, so that's quite a long time in the future. So we'll see what happens here. I am kind of just having some cash on the side for one last dip before we go, and maybe that's the biggest pain trade for everyone, is everyone's kind of expecting another dip, and maybe we just fricking rip out of here like no big deal. Maybe that's what's going to happen just because everyone's kind of waiting for it. So I don't know. We could also see something like a head and shoulders pattern form on here. So if I grab head and shoulders, we could also see something like, you know, this show up where we go like that, we go like that, and then maybe we come back down for, maybe we just like retest this yellow line again, this yellow channel, and this red line here, which was the old low from back here. Maybe we see something like this. And then we blast out of here, and maybe it's, you know, somewhere near this green line here saying we might see something like that. I don't know. Maybe we got something like that. Doesn't have to be that big either. We could, you know, could honestly, you know, you got this kind of line right here. We could honestly just do something like this as well. So maybe we just come down and do a higher low and rip out of there. And we could see a lower low. I mean, we could come down and retest 69,000. 68,000. A lot of people have been calling for this, so that almost makes me think it's not going to happen, but who knows? Maybe we get one final big fake out. We have the option of maybe retesting something that low, 63. I don't think that's going to happen. I think that's a low probability. Again, everything with trading and investing is probabilities, right? So we'll see what happens here. I don't think it needs to come down here. I think we could see anywhere from a tiny pullback to a big pullback here. Does not need to make a lower low, but it could. It could. That would be a nice fake out for everyone. That would really shake everyone out of the market. So we will kind of see what happens here. TARS AI is another one I've been super bullish on. It is really low. So it's a great spot. If you want to buy some spot on TARS AI, this is a very risky AI play that could see some very big gains. But I mean, from here, we're looking at 900% to get back to the all-time high. I purchased a lot back in here and was up like 200, 300%. And then now I'm down quite a bit. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. FET, Render, some more AI plays. SPX could come back as well. So SPX is another one that I'm thinking could see some big price action. And we do kind of have, not really a head and shoulders, kind of, but a weird one at that, right? Because you can go boom, boom, there's a low, come back here. It's kind of a weird head and shoulders pattern, but that could potentially play out. Again, these are all things that potentially could play out. Tau, definitely had a head and shoulders that played out. Annoying because I had some leverage plays open in the like $200 range, and then the pullback hit my stop loss, so I'm out of that trade now. Again, Popcat, Bartcoin. I do have a little bit of my Neo trade still open because the price is holding up quite good on this one. So we'll see what happens. That's going to be it. If you want to check out any of my links, try leverage trading. That is the best way to support me on this channel. The fees that you have on that exchange, a percentage of those fees go to me instead of the exchange. So that is the best way to support me. And if you're enjoying the content, another way to do it is to interact with the videos, likes, subscribes, and leave a comment below. How you guys doing? That's it for the video. Have a great day. See you guys.